Do you have a passion project you want to bring to life? Let Jamila Adams at Your Service help you. Jamila Adams at Your Service was created to assist businesswomen 40 plus by bringing their passion project to life through website design and marketing. Visit her website, jamilaadamsatyourservice.com, and register for a free 30-minute consultation. Remember, you have a voice. Use it.
Tanya, you ready?
Listen up, listen in. 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 Thanks for tuning in. Let's have a conversation. Talking worldwide, it don't matter your location. What you going through and the topic may have relation. Let's get some motivation. Let's swap out education. Every Friday we heal, laugh, improve, and grow. Put some nutrients in your mind, give you food for the soul. I know you pumped and preparing for your weekend and low. Might as well join the discussion and tune into the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. I'm your host, Preezy, and I have a special guest today with me. Let me tell you a little bit about this young lady. She is a disability writer, advocate, and para-educator. She published articles on the mighty Nonverbal Learning Project, Dyscalculia blog, The Reluctant Spoonie, Imagine the World as One magazine, and Word Gathering. Recently, she began a blog called Michelle's Mission. Her photographs were featured in Word Gathering and Independent and Work Ready. She works as a paraeducator in a school with students with disabilities, and she lives in the United States with her husband and meow meow, her 2 cats. So without further ado, let's give a round of applause for Michelle Steiner. How you doing, Michelle?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for being a guest. I really appreciate that. I always like to ask my guests, how was your day?
My day was pretty good. Yes, it was a good day.
Yeah, same with me. And you know, it was hot. I'm in New York City, so it was hot. We had the heat today, and I really like this weather, to be honest. I'm not the type of person that likes the cold, but I love the heat. But when it's hot like that, the humidity is high, and then here comes the pollen. So, you know how that is. So I guess you can't have it all, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, it has been warm in Pennsylvania today too, and we just tried to get out and enjoy the nice weather and got a lot of nice walks in today.
Yes.
And yes, it's been a great day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now I read your bio, but I always like to let the guests tell my audience who they are. So please let my audience know, who is Michelle Steiner?
Well, my name is Michelle Steiner. As I said, I live in Pennsylvania with my husband and our 2 cats, Jack and Sparrow.
Nice.
And I work as a teacher's aide in a school where I help students with and without disabilities. And I find that rewarding because I have a learning disability myself. So in a lot of ways, I can kind of go back and I can relate and know what a lot of them are going through. And I also love writing and advocating for people with disabilities through my blog called Michelle's Mission, and just being able to help other people along their journey with having one.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm glad that you are helping people with disabilities. You know, disabilities, it's a lot of different disabilities out there, right, Michelle?
Yes, there are so many disabilities. I know in the schools we have the 13 disability categories that people can fall under. But it is, when you go out, there are just so many disabilities that the people have, or just different ways of maybe something's not quite a disability, but it's something somebody struggles with. And everybody has something. My disability is in math. I have dyscalculia or dyscalculia, depending on how you pronounce it.
Yeah, that's a tough word.
Yeah, definitely. And I also have limited hand dexterity in both of my hands. And I have visual perception issues. And this is another thing that's very misunderstood. A lot of people think when they hear visual perception, they think, oh, that must be your vision. And it's not in my eyes, it's in my brain. It involves my reaction time and just the way that I process the information.
Wow. Let me ask you something, because I read, I was reading something that said, what is considered to be a disability? And I read, a disability is a condition of the body or mind that makes it more difficult for the person with the condition to do certain activities and interact with the world around them. Now, with your situation, when were you actually diagnosed with this disability?
I was diagnosed when I was in kindergarten with a learning disability. My teachers thought that there was something going on. I just wasn't developing as my peers were. I wasn't picking up on how to do things such as tying my shoes and counting, and just learning in general was really hard. And when I got diagnosed with a learning disability, it wasn't a specific math disability. We knew I wasn't going to be a mathematician from the start, but they didn't use words such as dyscalculia or limited hand dexterity. I mean, they did say I had some trouble with my eye-hand coordination, and we knew my visual perception was an issue. I can remember I would do a dot-to-dot worksheet, and I thought, oh, I did a great job, and then I would get it back, and it wasn't right, and I didn't understand it. So that was really, as a young child, I was really lucky that I did stand out, because even in that time period, not a lot of people were diagnosed as early as I was.
Wow. So you said that you had the disability when you were in kindergarten. Am I correct?
Yes, that's when I was diagnosed. Yep. Okay,
so how did your parents, what took place with your parents? How were they able to get you help with that? That was very young.
Yes. Well, one of the things the school did was I was evaluated. The school did the evaluation. They talked to my parents before this and said, we think she might have something that's going on. The school psychologist evaluated me, and they found out that I had a learning disability.
Wow. And so did the school get you any tutors, or were you able to get in special programs?
One of the things that they did was, right after I was diagnosed, I had to repeat kindergarten again, and I began to receive services in a new school that was in our district. It was still a public school. I received specialty instruction. That's where we worked on how to read, how to write. We attempted to do math. We never got far with that. And that helped me. And then I also got accommodations for when I was able to go into classes such as reading and science and social studies, that I was getting things such as extended test time. I was having the test read aloud to me. And having those services enabled me to be able to be in the regular ed classroom. And I had what is called an IEP, or an individualized education plan. And that is for a student that has under one of the 13 disability categories, falls under for having a disability. Now, if somebody has another health impairment that's not a disability, but they still need to have a written plan, they go under what is called a 504 plan. And that's just simply, yes, there's something that is going on, but it's not a disability.
Okay, so when it came to your parents, did they have to also get some type of education tools to help you outside of the classroom, like help you at home?
The school was wonderful in educating my family of what a learning disability was. And I think they went to a workshop that was sponsored by the school, or something along those lines. But they talked to my learning support teachers, and they worked with them on what I needed to do. In fact, I had the chance a couple of years ago to run into one of my very first learning support teachers, and she talked about not only how hard I worked, but how my parents, that she worked with my mom of things that were going on, and just being on top of that, of how they could help me in the schools. And my parents advocated for me, especially as I got older, because they knew things that I was interested in. And they would say, okay, we're going to your IEP meeting. Is there anything you want us to talk about? And that gave me the tools to start to begin to see how to advocate.
Wow, that's excellent. I had read at one point, I read an article, and it stated that even though children don't outgrow learning disabilities, they can learn to adapt and improve in their their weak skills, and it can be identified and treated early. Did this somehow affect you growing up or interfere with your self-esteem?
Yes, I can remember for being a very small child and spending a great deal of that time being frustrated. I thought that I wasn't able to learn, and life was always going to be hard, and learning was always going to be difficult. I was frustrated that with my peers, because it seemed like they had an easy time with learning, and it was also really hard for me to socialize, because a lot of my peers, the bullying started early. I stuck out like a sore thumb. Everybody knew in our small school district that I went to learning support, and I didn't have that opportunity to be able to blend in. So that was really hard for me as a young child. And I can remember feeling that I wasn't very smart, and my parents and the school staff I worked with said, well, you are smart. You just learn differently. And they were able to point out things that I was good at.
Wow, that was good. Because I know, we really got to teach children. You got to celebrate and to understand that everybody is different. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And sometimes others just got to work a little harder and doing things. But it's important to recognize and appreciate everyone's strengths and weaknesses. So, would you getting that type of encouragement, did that kind of help you as well? Just praise you and to know and have you understand that, yes, you do have these disabilities, but you can still do a lot of things in life?
Oh, definitely. My parents were always encouraging me. I can remember the first time that I found what I was good at. My dad would always read to me whenever I was young, and I liked writing. And I remember I wrote a story about a dinosaur. I had to be second or third grade. And my dad read it and he said, this is pretty good. And I can remember that was like, wow, I can do something. I may not be able to do math very well or learning or sports, but there was something I could do. And that just build upon a lot of other things of focusing on what I could do. That has always been far more empowering for me than focusing on what I couldn't.
That's great. Now, how does your disability affect your day-to-day life right now? Like, what are some things that you can't do and can do?
Well, I'm not able to still do math very well at my job. I'm pretty honest with the kids and my staff. I tell them I'm not able to do math, and everybody knows that, and most people are okay with that. I'm really blessed with some wonderful coworkers and teachers that they're okay with me not being able to be good at math. Most of them are, and they may struggle with English or reading. I also, with the visual perception, it doesn't affect my eyes, but my brain, so I'm not able to drive. And I live in a central location where I can walk to where I need to go. My husband is wonderful for dropping me off at work, and I have some amazing coworkers that take me home in the afternoon. I also have friends and family that can take me places to where I need to go. That's one of the things. I also have limited hand dexterity, so that can make things such as writing, anything that involves fine motor skills is really difficult for me. handwriting, and just those things like opening up locks and bottles and things like that.
Wow, okay. Well, it's great that you have a good support system, because I think that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it kind of makes you feel better inside knowing that people are in your life and supporting you.
Exactly, because I know that I do have people that can help me out, and to have that support just means the world to me.
That's great. Let me ask you, who can you say is a great role model to you?
I think I had a great role model when my parents have always been a wonderful role model for encouraging me to always do my best and just to be independent. So they were great role models on how to live my life. And I also had a student teacher who told me that I could go to college. And hearing those words meant a lot to me, because I didn't think that I could go to college. But she encouraged me, and she told me about other students that were at the university that she was at that had disabilities. And sometimes when it was really hard, when I was at college or I was at a job, I can just remember those words, "You can do it."
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we all need some type of positive influence in our lives, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, how is it working with children with disabilities?
I find it very rewarding, because I work now with 7th graders this year, and at times it can be like a recording of myself at that age. I often hear, "Well, I wish I didn't have a learning disability." I'm like, "Well, I said that a long time ago." And I get to tell them it's okay that they have a learning disability, and we can go through how we advocate for ourselves. We can go through the accommodations that they need. And it's the most rewarding thing when I get to read a test to a student, because somebody did that for me all those years ago, and now I get the opportunity to do that. And because somebody did it for me, it made all the difference in my life.
That's awesome. Do you think that the government is giving enough funding for those that have these disabilities and enough programs for them as well?
I think that sometimes they have programs, but I don't think that they really customize for what the person with the disability is. A lot of them, they want to treat everybody as they're the same. And I can remember being really frustrated before I had the job I do now. We would go in for job coaching, and they didn't always know what to do with me. I had the 4-year degree, and they would not know that, okay, maybe I can't do this part of the job. Or it was frustrating that they thought, well, they would give me on jobs where I needed a driver's license, and they just didn't quite understand what I could do. I remember at one point I couldn't make it to some of the meetings because I was working, and I would tell them, well, they were temp jobs at this point, and I would tell them, well, I have a job interview, and they said, well, do you want us to come with you? And I'm like, well, no. I'm capable of going to the interview myself. And most of the services that they provided were more for people that had intellectual disabilities, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it just wasn't customized for something that I could do.
Wow. So that's something that really needs improvement.
Yes, definitely. I agree 100% with that.
Now, working with children, I'm pretty sure at times that could be a little difficult, because sometimes kids may be nervous or scared once they find out that they may have a disability, and just trying to cope and accept their disability. Mm-hmm. What do you do in a situation like that when they're a little nervous or scared, and they just, well, I don't want a disability, I don't want to have this? What do you do when that arises?
I try to encourage them. I say, well, there's nothing wrong with having a disability. It's okay if you do. And just to encourage them that these, having a disability saying you have one isn't a dirty word. And we try to just get them to understand that that's okay, they have the disability, and to look for just ways that they can help themselves.
Absolutely. Because I believe, first of all, everybody in the world needs love, especially children. They need love, they need encouragement, and they need support. And for kids, that may have these learning disabilities, having a positive reinforcement, it can ensure them to become strong and have that self-worth and that self-love and confidence with themselves, within themselves. And it just can keep them going and know to be tough. And, hey, listen, I'm a human being just like you. I may not be able to do this, but I can do that. So I think it's always important to help kids out who have learning disabilities and let them know, hey, there's nothing wrong with you, So that's good, What advice can you give to those with disabilities that are adults?
My advice to adults that have disabilities is to find what they want to do and to be able to look for a way to be able to do it. I may not be able to do math very well or drive a car, but I can find jobs that don't necessarily involve that, or find a way to negotiate around that. And I'm able to, you just have to keep on looking for a way to do something. Know what you want and find a way to do it.
Absolutely. Another question with the parents. What kind of advice should you give to a parent who just found out that their child has a disability? What can they do?
I think the first thing you can do is educate yourself with who diagnosed your child, and to ask questions and to be able to know as much as you can about that. And I would also encourage parents to focus on things that their child can do, and also not just on the things that they can't, but things that they're really good at, and nurture that ability, and just really to encourage them and not to give up on them, because my parents didn't give up on me, and it made all the difference too.
Absolutely. And they may have to be an advocate for their child. They might have to speak up for their kid, and try to be more proactive. Definitely be proactive when it comes to their children or child with a disability.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Now tell me, when did you start your blog?
I started my blog about 3 years ago. Right after I got some disability articles published a few years prior to that. And I think it was around 2020 that I just started, I was able to have a blog, and I just started writing articles and combining my love of photography and just being able to write about life with a learning disability.
Wow, that's awesome. And I see you into photography too. I see your little pictures, your little beautiful pictures. When did you start getting into photography?
I can remember I got into that a few years ago, and I had a friend that, saw my pictures, and she was like, wow, these are really good. And I remember I entered them into a show, and I placed, I think I might have gotten an honorable mention. And after that, I took a few years, but I started posting them on my blog, and people were like, I really like your flower pictures. I really like that. And I also have had them published in some magazines and in contests, and I just found that I love doing that.
That's awesome, Michelle. That's awesome. I mean, disability writer, advocate, power educator. You publish so many different articles in magazines. You're helping children, and you got students that have disability. So what's next for Michelle Steiner?
Well, I am trying to work on a book called Chasing Butterflies, and it's about my life with a learning disability that goes through the life cycle of a butterfly, and oftentimes trying to chase my dreams and finding my place in life had been like trying to catch a butterfly.
Beautiful, beautiful. And with your pictures, where else are they posted?
I have them on Instagram. I do a lot on Facebook with them as well. And you can also find them. I've had ones published in Word Gathering magazine, and I also recently had them in the Unmourning Journal.
Wow. You're a great inspiration for those individuals out here that have disabilities. You're obviously saying to everyone, hey, it doesn't matter if you have a disability, you keep going, focus, find your strengths, find your weaknesses, and just keep going, because you can do anything that you want in life. So that is beautiful, and I'm very happy that you have taken this role and just having a self-love within yourself, because that's what's important, you know.
Well, yes, thank you so much.
Now, where can we find you, Michelle Steiner?
Sure, you can find me at michellesmission.blog, and you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Great. Any last words you want to leave to my audience out here regarding disability?
What I would love to tell people, encourage people that have disabilities, is to just keep on finding the things that you like to do and keep looking for ways to be able to do them.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I want to wish you, success with your photography, your blog, you working with students with disabilities, and just keep up the good work, Michelle, of loving yourself and having a beautiful perspective on life and helping others.
Well, thank you so much. I certainly appreciate that.
And I just want to tell my audience, live, laugh, love you first, because you can't love anyone or anything unless you love yourself first. Keep God in your life. Stay healthy, stay focused, hug and squeeze your family and your pets, because they're family too, just a little bit tighter. That's right, Michelle. You got those 2 little baby cats now. Hug and squeeze them real tight. And are they babies or are they adults?
They're adults, but they act like they're kittens.
They act like they're kittens. I have one myself, and I have 3 dogs, so I know they just like babies. But everybody else out there, thank you so much for tuning in, and just stay focused and keep your faith, and know that you can do anything you want as long as you focus and stay positive. So thank you, Michelle, for being on the show.
Well, thank you.
God bless you.
Well, God bless you.
Yes. Love you, Mommy and Daddy, forever. Peace.
Yep.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you so much.
That was awesome. That was truly an awesome interview.
Thank you. I enjoyed that.
Yes. I'm so happy that you gave me the opportunity to interview you. And this is excellent, because having a disability is a challenge. I have a cousin that's autistic, and he's really smart. He can do a lot of things. And then there's things that, he has to be told to do. But it just shows that he can do so much. And he has the most prettiest handwriting. And
wow,
it's amazing. I mean, he prints, but it is like he typed something. It is so beautiful.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
So it just shows that, it doesn't matter who you are and whatever disability you have. If you keep going, sky's the limit.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
Sky's the limit. So I appreciate you so much for coming on the show. And you're always welcome anytime. If you have any other things you want to discuss or talk about, you have my email. You can always call me and we can set it up. This is great.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. And you keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, I definitely will. And you as well.
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
That concludes this episode of Listen Up, Listen In with your host, Preezy. Hey, yo, Preezy, tell them how to keep in touch, baby.
Go to Instagram, Listen Up, Listen In 5687, and on Facebook, Listen Up, Listen In. You can also email me at listenuplistening5687@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by following me on social media, you'll be able to see all the platforms my podcast is on. Wherever you consume my podcast, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast.
Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Yeah.